Hey guys, it's that guy Dale 3. Thanks for stopping by for another video. Today we're going to talk about swiftness, why it's really important to hunters, how to generate it, and we're also going to talk about some of the abilities that swiftness augments, as well as we're going to mention hunter shrines at the very end of the video, where their locations are, and why they're so important. First off, what is swiftness? Swiftness is a resource meter underneath your health bar. It's that green meter that you'll see if you play hunter. There's a few different ways to generate swiftness. One of the main ways to generate swiftness is to fully charge your bow against an enemy and land the shot. Once that shot lands, you'll see some swiftness be generated. Over time, with successful charged shots, you'll generate a decent amount of swiftness, and that will augment your sentinel abilities. Additionally, there are other ways to generate swiftness. Hitting bramble traps or any of your traps on enemies will generate a small amount of swiftness. Detonating seed bombs against enemies and doing damage will generate swiftness. As well as with longbow, if you fully charge and you carefully aim at an enemy, tracking them, then you will generate a little bit of swiftness while fully drawn. Additionally, we can generate swiftness with the Elven Autumn Hide leggings, as well as the Windstrider leaf wraps. Elven Autumn Hides are going to be your best leggings on Hunter, like we discussed in the first video when we talked about Hunter gear. This is because all you have to do is use evade and you generate swiftness when you roll. You're going to be evading a lot in this game, so Elven Autumn Hides are just true best in slot pieces of gear. But if you ever find yourself in a position where the Windstrider's leaf wraps are the only ones you have, say you're on like a 0 to hero run, or you just don't really have enough gear to craft your own whites, Windstriders can be okay, and you will use Air Vault to generate that swiftness instead, which is when you press spacebar and evade at the same time, and you do that backflip kick, and that will generate a little bit of swiftness. Now, why do we generate swiftness in the first place? Well, that has to do with the skills that are involved with our sentinels. That's Sentinel Strike, Sentinel Cyclone, or Sentinel Call. The Sentinel skills are all the ones that have like the little bird animation. It's your main skills with Hunter outside of your zoning utility. Sentinel Strike, for instance, is the one where it sends that green bird forward and it can do damage to enemies, stagger them briefly, even snare through walls with certain gear on, like the Elven Sylvanborn Tunic that snares people if you hit them through LOS. The more swiftness you generate with Sentinel Strike, the faster your charge time is. If you have 4 bars on Sentinel Strike, you can actually insta-cast your Sentinel Strike with no spin-up animation. This can be super important in 1v1 fights when you're playing with Sentinel Strike and you're using like Elven Autumn Hides, you're doing a lot of dodge rolls, hitting a lot of shots, landing a lot of bombs. As soon as you have over 4 bars, you can hit a nice Sentinel Strike. It's in the ballpark of 300 damage. It can stagger the opponent for a brief moment. It's a very nice zoning tool that you can use for Hunter. Cyclone and Sentinel Call are also augmented by swiftness. And the way the Sentinel Cyclone is augmented by swiftness is the more swiftness you use to cast Cyclone, the longer your Cyclone exists. Anytime someone jumps into your Cyclone, they are snared. So for zoning enemies, for using Cyclone as it's typically used to maneuver around the map, even get your teammates around the map, so a lot of swiftness generation is very good for Cyclone, especially if you can't cast Cyclone and instantly jump into it. Now, the last ability that we're going to talk about is Sentinel Call. And that's the little bird kind of pet that you can spawn. This ability is very buggy, but what swiftness does for it is the more swiftness you consume, the stronger your pet is. The more damage it does, the more health it has. I don't use a lot of Sentinel Call, which is a fair warning. I think the ability needs a lot of work. There's a lot of bugs associated with it. Its hitbox is a little broken. So sometimes you'll spend all your swiftness in the middle of a fight on a Sentinel Call. It'll whiff even though it literally like passes straight through an enemy, and GG, you're probably dead at that point. Now, let's talk about the Hunter Shrines and where to find them. So what is a Hunter Shrine? What does it do for your character? Well, Hunter Shrines, they give 20 with the... Actually, let me have a little quick disclaimer for that. In the traits for Hunter, if you're max level, you're going to have this, Blessing of the Wind God. So you can interact with Hunter Shrines in Greenwood to receive 20% increased swiftness generation for 5 minutes. That's a very long time, and especially when you're like you're getting ready for PvP engagements, especially if you're looking for fights. Grabbing a Hunter Shrine before you even engage in these can be the difference maker in some of those fights, because if you, that's the more Cyclones you can cast, more Sentinel's Calls you can insta cast, more more Sentinel Strikes you can insta cast, and more Sentinel Calls you can insta cast, which is very, very good. Now, we're going to come over here to the wiki, which big shout out to the wiki is a fantastic tool for information. Never mind the fact the interact where you can show all or hide all markers, and then you can come in and for something like the video that I'm doing here. You can only show the hunter altars, which is really awesome for what we're, so we can see the exactions. So there's 4 altars on the map. I call them hunter shrines. Same. These locations are where you're going to find little statues of animals. There's 2 bird statues and 2 wolf statues, and they're like eagles and like wolves, and there's a little cup like thing on them. I'm gonna have a superimposed steps that are gonna show the locations of these signs as we kind of talk about them. Now, what the altars do for fights is there's a big difference between the swiftness that you generate without the 20% buff and with the 20% buff. You're going to be full swiftness a lot faster with this buff. So that means you have a lot more opportunities to cast more of your Sentinel abilities. And that can be the difference maker in a fight. So I highly recommend you understand these locations, memorize these locations, know where you spawn in regards to these locations, and ask your teammates, especially if you're looking to fight, to kind of path towards these hunter altars so that you can set yourself up for the best success in PvP. And a 5-minute buff is pretty decent. That's going to cover most early engagements with the fight and really set you up for success. So basically, to sum everything up, swiftness is what you use for your sentinel abilities on hunter. It's super important for swiftness generation to have the right gear and even have the hunter altar buffs if you're fighting, especially. You should know these hunter altar locations, and it's only going to help your gameplay. Now, if you like the video, if you could leave a comment, like, subscribe if you really want to see more. I'm going to be doing a lot of these videos. We did hunter gear first, we did swiftness now. If you guys have any ideas for videos, let me know. My YouTube channel, obviously, you're here, but I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatguydale3. I'm going to start doing more TikTok stuff for some shorts, and as well as some hunter, some video shorts. I primarily play hunter. I love this class. I love this game. If you guys are interested, please come through. Join the community. I stream primarily with my friends Decapaws and Mermex. We stream a lot during the week and on the weekends, and we actually have a podcast as well where we talk about some of the balance of the game changes. This week we're going to do a dev roadmap video where we go into detail, and we have a surprise guest, which is very cool. So we're really excited for that. Please come check us out. Thank you for your time. Much love. Peace.